Welcome back to SportsLine right here on News Channel 5 Plus. I'm having the time of my life hanging out with Mickie James, the wrestling legend, country music superstar, wife, mom, just all around superwoman. Arms look great.
Thanks.
Yogi, workout fanatic. I mean, geez.
You say that you're so sweet because I feel like I'm like, oh, my arms aren't as jacked as they were.
No, they look
That's
great.
okay.
How do you do it? How do you juggle it all? I mean, you got a lot on your plate these days.
I do, and I will say, leading up to the pay-per-view to Empower, I felt like if there was anything that was suffering, it was more my workouts and stuff because I was wearing so many hats, and now I'm like kicking it into overdrive because I got some business to take care of.
Right.
However,
which we'll get to.
Yes. It's a lot, but I have a good team. I mean, my husband, thank God for him.
Yeah.
You know, and my family.
He's a fantastic wrestler in his own right.
One of the greatest champions ever of the modern era, for sure. Probably the greatest champion of the modern era. And I say that not being biased. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, well, he's your husband.
And he is my husband.
You got to put him over. He's your husband.
Well, I'm not just, but I'm saying I'm not just putting him over because he's my husband. I'm putting him over because he really is just an incredible champion. Like he walks it, he talks it, he is it. Yeah, he's done a lot of amazing things for the NWA, but not just there. He was at Impact. And
had a great run at Impact.
And it was a massive television star in the UK prior to coming over there. So I think just what he's been able to accomplish, especially in the last couple years with NWA, is just remarkable. It's remarkable, and he gets all his flowers all the time. Oh, I don't really buy him flowers.
Well, he's supposed to buy you flowers.
Cigars or chocolate or something. But
all right.
Yeah.
Well, we've had him on the show before by phone, and we had a great conversation. This was a few years ago. I can't even remember how long ago. Probably about 3-4 years ago we had him on. So great wrestler, great guy, lucky guy, I must say.
Yeah. Well, teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
But you have to. It takes a village, and we have a son, and obviously the wrestling is hard because you're on the road so much, and we have to, and we're both on the road, so we kind of have to have that balance, and especially now that we're living here, because my whole family is still in Virginia, and his family is in the UK, and they haven't, we haven't seen them in a couple years now due to the pandemic and stuff, but it's been more difficult, I think, but because when Donovan was younger, I would just take him with me.
Sure.
He would just come with me. I would just go everywhere, and he's right there, a stroller, or my mom would be there, and but now he's in school, and he's responsibilities and a little bit more structure, and so it's a balancing act, but that's what it is. It's just a respect of each other's time and kind of making it work. Doing what we got to do to make it work.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just you got to figure out a way, and that's the way it goes.
For sure.
How did it all? Go ahead.
I was going to say time management skills have never been my forte.
Me either. Trust me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not diligent about a lot of things. And so, I like today was a challenge.
It was a struggle.
Yeah, today was I'm like, all right, because I did my radio show, and then I had to get my workout in, and then I had to make sure I got here to make sure that
Oh, you did more than me already today.
Yeah, well,
I'm proud of you.
Some days I get the energy and I just keep going, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mickie James said she's proud of me.
I am, that's amazing. Awesome. You got your workout in already. I'm jealous, actually.
Well,
I'm going to go over here and do some push-ups to feel better about myself.
They ain't over yet. How did it all start for you? How did you get into professional wrestling?
I kind of fell into wrestling. And when I say that, I mean, I was a massive fan. I was a huge fan. When I was a little girl, I watched with my dad. It was Georgia Championship Wrestling. It was the NWA. It was that's what I fell in love with. And that was a bonding thing with my dad and my sisters. And obviously my parents separated when I was a young girl. I think I was like 2.5, 3 years old. And so when I would see my dad on the weekends and my sisters and I, that was our thing. We'd watch wrestling. And it was cool, it was different, and it was,
Were you like a tomboy growing up, you think? Or?
Well, I grew up on a horse farm. I competed and showed horses pretty much. That's what I thought I was going to do, was going to be a horse trainer. Yeah. So we had Morgans. I still have 2 from my grandmother's farm, the last 2 from my grandmother's farm. But that's what I thought I was going to do with my life, was be a horse trainer, because that's what I had been riding since I was 4 years old. I've been competing since I was 6, and competed all the way through high school, and until just everything happened, and kind of I got out of high school, and I fell back in love with wrestling again. And my grandmother sold the farm because, you know, life, things happen. She'd sold the farm, but I had kept on to these 3 horses. The one that, you know, my horse that she got for me when I was 11, and then I have her last daughter, and then I have the last son of one of the mares that I used to show. So, long story short, I'm sitting here, and I really didn't have a lot of direction. Like my parents, we couldn't afford to, you know, just to send me to college, and could have gotten a few grants, but was just kind of like really at a crossroads as like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I don't know what to do, right? Like, and I was working in a bar, and a friend of mine who was a bouncer at the bar, every Monday, every Thursday, every time wrestling was on, I was glued. I was locked in because it was the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And it was Stone Cold, and it was The Rock, and it was Mankind, and it was, you know, D-Generation X, and it was China, and it was Lita coming onto the scene and being able to do this cool things with these guys, and just, it was Trish Stratus, the introduction of Trish Stratus. It was all of these elements, and I'm just like, I love wrestling all over again, because the business was so hot.
It was white hot back then.
It was so hot, and it was cool, and it was cool to be a wrestling fan, and you would see people drinking beer and with their buddies, and then beautiful women and kids and families. Like, it was a mixture of cultures and people of just coming in to enjoy and escape in the spectacle of it all.
Yes.
And it reminded me, like, the characters of them, like, because Macho Man was my all-time favorite. Sensational Sherry, female, greatest female of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, but forgotten legend, Sherry Martel.
No doubt. One, like, the legit female GOAT. I don't care. She is the epitome of what a women's wrestler should aspire to be, because she would go out there, and it was a much different business then. And she was just, she wrestled like one of the boys. She was one of the boys, you know? And she had so much respect and love backstage, but it's just, you know, I just looked up to it, and I just was like, whoa. So my friend, bouncer friend, Chris, he says, you know, my buddy has a wrestling school. And I'm like, a wrestling school. In my mind, I just thought that they found these people like they find, you know, the bearded lady in the circus, right? Like, it's just one of these things, because they just all seem so much larger than life to me, and they just kind of, I was like, what? And the school was about 2 hours from my house, or my apartment at the time, because I just moved out of my parents, and so I'm like, I'm gonna go check this out. And I remember it was like November '98, and I drove 2.5 hours up to Manassas, Virginia, and it was in the back of a martial arts center. It was a boxing ring that was about 2 feet off the ground. It was the hardest ring I've ever fell down in my whole life. And that's where
you had to take bumps in that hard ring.
For the first year of my career, that's where I learned how to wrestle.
Wow.
Is in that ring. And I remember walking in. How much is it? $1,500. Okay. And I signed up that day. Wow. And I never looked back. And I walked out of there with bruises from head to toe on my arms and my hips. And yeah. And then that's where it all began.
You caught the bug.
I did. I already had the bug. And, you know, it's things that when you say when you're a kid, like, oh, I'm going to be a wrestler one day. But I was going to be a lot of things.
Right.
You know, I was going to be everything.
Right. And model, music star, you know, everything.
I was a singer, a horse trainer, and a wrestler is pretty much what it was. That was, you know.
And you turned out to be pretty much all 3.
Maybe not so much the horse trainer.
Okay.
I mean, I ride my own horses for pleasure, not for, they probably train me and keep me in check. But I still work very much with my horses and stuff like that. But yeah, I did turn out, at least 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
You go to Hall of Fame if you do that in baseball. All right. We got to take another break. When we come back, we've been teasing it the entire hour, but we got to address it. The situation between you and Impact Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo. So we're going to get to that next. More with Mickie James. Stay with us.